Okay, let's go. Go ahead.
Okay, so anyway,
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. I want a couple of things, 'cause I know Frank has a lot to talk about today. I'm pretty sure you do.
Not that much.
Okay, well, anyway,
I want
everybody.
to keep it short and concise.
Yeah, well, everybody knows that I don't belong here. I am from. I didn't even.
We've been trying to give you the message.
Well,
we're not picking up the clues.
Yeah, well, anyway. Until I was about 6, maybe 6, I never saw anybody that was younger than about 70. Everybody came around 60, 65, 70. They were the ones that visited my dad. Those were the people I understand. So I actually belong there because I understand those things. I understand that time.
Can I butt in right here?
Yeah, sure.
Shouldn't you just move on from that? In other
No,
words,
no.
It seems like you're stuck there.
Would you stop this? Because a lot of people haven't seen this yet.
You open like this all the time, but
I don't care.
I'm talking about this psychologically.
I don't care.
Don't you think you're stuck?
I don't care.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm stuck in that century. But the thing is that you have to understand that we weren't right in those days about everything. For example, Thomas Edison, he believed in having alternating current, direct current for our electric power grid. Did you know that?
Yeah, it wasn't until Tesla.
And they argued about that.
Tesla wanted alternating current.
Right, and who finally won was alternating current. We weren't right about a lot. There were a lot of things we weren't right about. We weren't right about the Spanish-American War. That was Hearst's war. He started that by some yellow journalism. So we weren't right about everything, but we weren't nuts. That's the difference. We weren't nuts. Now stop and look at...
Oh, we kind of were nuts.
Huh?
There were some nutty people out there.
Not like... Okay.
Utopians. There were utopians who tried to create these Shangri-La in America.
Yeah, well, I'm going to steal from my own column this week because what we've got now is if in my day, which is my day, that's the day that we weren't nuts yet, like you people. Okay. Anyway, you people.
You people.
What does it mean now when I'm talking to you?
It means a person of color.
Ooh, am I sitting next to a person of color? I guess I'm not very racist.
Some people don't see color. I think you see color.
Anyway, what's going on now is we've got men who are getting involved with women's sporting events. We got a 6'2" man with a beard playing in the women's sports, kicking the hell out of his 5'2" woman.
That's a sturdy woman, though.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of them lost all of her damn teeth by one of these so-called. And how do they get by with this?
Price of athletic sports.
They get by with that. They get by with that because now they're calling themselves a woman. This is absolutely nuts. You know, we had women's rights. We had the women fighting for women's rights. Where the hell is Gloria Steinem or somebody like her now? Do they care anything about women? No, women are getting the crap kicked out of them in sporting events. You know what would have happened?
That's because they're intimidated by queer theory. Queer theory says what you believe in your mind is the reality. It's
You're
truth.
nuts. That's my point.
That's what your generation says, but this generation, which is essentially bullied feminists, like, if you believe you're a woman, they have to go, yeah, you're right. Because all their academics have said so.
Do you know what happened to those people? If
in other words, the high priests of academia have said so.
If a man picked on a woman like they're doing now, they'd get their ass kicked behind the cow barn. That would be the end of that crap.
In your day.
In my day. And that's why I'm saying we weren't nuts yet. We might have been wrong about stuff, but we weren't nuts.
I just heard from somebody in the military, if your Marine sergeant or a boot camp sergeant is coming at you too hard, you can pull out a little card. I told him, are you sure? He said, absolutely. You can pull out a card that you don't feel like you're in a safe space. No, I'm serious.
Well, they wouldn't have been a safe place in my world. We've got in Oregon somewhere, they had a boys group. I think it was a grade school, high school, I don't know. They had to put women's...
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
No. I want to talk about it again. Putting women's stuff in men's bathrooms. That is nuts. Nuts. You guys are, all you people that said you're...
That's all part of the whole queering of America.
Well, okay.
And that doesn't mean they're going to make you gay or trans. All it means that all of the normative rules that applied in Western civilization should all be dismantled, demolished, thrown away.
In other words, you people are crazy.
And of course, this is happening.
And I'm
in
going to live
major-
in that century. I'm going to stay there.
This is going to happen. Your children are going to, your grandchildren are going to live in those sort of towns and cities. Look what's happening to Portland, D.C.
Well, here's another thing. And last thing I want to say, and I want to mention this, another form of nuts is, like him or not, he was unpresidential, whatever the hell that means. When Trump was coming off the golden elevator, what was his
Escalator.
push? Whatever the hell it was. Anyway, when he was coming off that elevator, what was he talking about? He's going to build a wall, and everybody was making fun of him. Oh, wall! You're going to build a wall? Well, they'll just get taller ladders. Whoopity-boo-boo-boo-boo. He was talking about that, and that's actually what kicked his campaign off, was the wall. And we'll get Mexico to pay for the wall. Well, what he did is, amongst other things, is he got Mexico and stay in Mexico. He got a lot of stuff going. Actually, the wall was working, except that Biden started tearing, and I'm going to lay it onto him, started tearing down, or actually quit building the wall, and the wall that Trump was building is laying in the dirt somewhere, and Biden is selling it for scrap now. What have we got? Have you looked around? Have you picked up the news? You need to start asking yourself, why is this happening? Because so many people are, okay, well, I think that men should beat the shit out of women. Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Those aren't men, those are women.
Yeah, okay, and men can have babies too.
Oh, they can.
Yeah, okay, crazy. You're crazy. So I don't know how long you people are going to tolerate this, but that's enough. I'm annoyed now. You're beginning to annoy me.
And you should be, because that's what this culture, this counterculture, is trying to make normal.
Well, you're nuts.
And people are pushing back. I think people are pushing back, don't you?
I don't see enough of it. They should have.
I think. Look, I mean,
they should have. 3 years ago, we saw this coming. You and I saw this coming. Already were predicted.
Oh yeah. I think a lot. That's why you had parents involved in school boards, because when they're in the school boards, they can determine the type of curriculum their kids are going to learn, and they're finding out that the kids are learning some weird diversity, inclusion, equity curriculum. Of course, they don't call it that. It's called social emotional learning. And if little Johnny doesn't feel like he wants to come to school, he doesn't have to. Do you know there's no longer truancy. This is part of that whole queering of America.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that your kid becomes trans or gay. The whole queer theory is that this whole idea of the patriarchy, a man loving a woman, having children, having a family, going to work, providing for your family, all that is part of the past. Have you seen those commercials? I think it's Progressive. You don't want to grow up to be your parents, do you?
Oh yeah, I love that ad.
That's part of queer theory, whether you know it or not, because
it's subtle.
It's extremely subtle.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the border now,
Let's do that.
because I've been doing a little reading of history.
Oh yeah, you do a lot of that stuff, don't you?
And demographics is power. You shift the demographics of any section of the country, and you will shift the power base. And this is what happened in the Republic of Texas. You know about that, right? When Texas was part of Mexico.
Yeah.
The Mexicans, when they wanted their independence, they said, you Americans, why don't you come and populate Texas? And eventually the gringos were more than the Mexicans. So the Mexicans said, well, that's not a good idea. So you guys have to become Catholics. Look it up. This is what happened. And the gringos said, no, we like being Southern Baptists and Methodists or Episcopalians or what have you. And then they said, well, you're going to have to end your slavery. Mexico is a little bit ahead of us on that part. And of course, most of the people that were coming into Texas were from the South. They said, no, we love our slaves. And so eventually, Texas became a slave state. And by the shifting of the demographics to more white people there, more slave-owning population.
Then your people said, whoops.
They changed the power dynamics of Mexico, and eventually they won their independence. It's true.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Look it up.
Look it up. It was simple numbers. This is why the Remain in Mexico by the president whose name shall not be named was kind of a brilliant idea. Why? And I'm going to use a little historical context.
Why can't we use it?
So I was talking about remain in Mexico, which I thought was brilliant. Why? Because there was something that happened in 1850. Are you familiar with the fugitive slave law?
No, but you're going to enlighten us all, aren't you?
Do you have an idea what that was all about?
Yeah.
It was a compromise for bringing in California and Utah and New Mexico into the Union. And essentially the North said, some of your slaves, Southerners, because I know you guys think we're trying to end slavery, which they were, and if your slaves come into the northern states, we'll return them for you, okay? We'll round them up, we'll pass the law, and all you've got to do is claim that some of your slaves are escaped, and we'll catch them and bring them back to the owners. Here's the problem. Once that started happening, some of these states realized how expensive it was to do that. And then not only was it expensive, some people said, you know, I don't like Bob over there who's black, and of course he's been free for a while. So then you had all these people accusing black people who were free that they were escaped slaves. So that created a problem. And then you had people who just by press saying, oh, you're just one of those snitch. People don't like being called a snitch. I know somebody who's got an escaped slave, right? So now you're creating problems within people, within neighbors and communities that you've got snitch.
Dividing people.
Yeah, kind of like ICE. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing just blew up. Nobody wanted to get involved in rounding up these fugitive slaves. So now everybody's pissed off because now the northern people cost them money and people got a bad rap, and Southerners realized that their escaped slaves weren't going to get rounded up because the whole thing was just a mess. Same thing, what's going to happen, what's happening right now, when Trump and everybody else says we're going to round them up, it ain't going to happen. Mm-mm. Why is it not going to happen? Because you're still going to have some of these sanctuary cities that say we're not going to help the Trump administration or any administration round these people up. ICE are going to be told to stand down. The cops cannot tell ICE. You're going to have the same problem that happened when Trump was president, and they know it. But they're doing that whole border bill that was vetoed. They said all these things were going to happen. No, they don't. There's no longer enforcement. There's no longer enforcement. We have already laws on the books to enforce whatever happened to trespassing laws.
Yeah.
We have laws that say you should be arrested if you come into the United States except through the authorized portals, right?
Yeah.
They don't come through the authorized portals. Where do they come through?
Anywhere they want.
There you go. Do we enforce those laws? No, we don't. And what makes you think with a new bill they're going to enforce the law? And so by paying more people, paying more Border Patrol officers, all they're doing is just normalizing the numbers. That new bill was supposed to normalize 6,000 illegals a day. That's over 1 million a year. Mm-hmm. And so and they're going to be given, a piece of paper that says, okay, this is your court date. Once they're here.
They're here.
They're here. Nobody has the political will to round these people up or to deport them. Yeah, just a small fraction. And even that small fraction are not getting deported. Do you know what just happened yesterday in court in Arizona?
Tell me. Tell them.
A judge essentially said that Arizona cannot verify a voter's residence, cannot verify that if they're a citizen, cannot verify if or take somebody out of the voter roll. And if somebody suspects that they're not a registered voter at the voting station, can't do anything. So what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have illegals voting.
Of course,
why? Because they just, of course, it's going to be appealed, but I doubt if it's going. There's slow walk in this particular appeal.
Goodbye, sweet America.
Can you imagine? You don't have to show that you're a citizen to vote. You have to show you're a citizen to get on a plane.
No, you don't. They don't have to do that now.
They've gone around that, right? But you and I.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we would.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Try and get on an airplane without some kind of identification. But
demographics, queer theory. That's all I got to say. That's all I got for today.
That's it?
That's it. As much as you had.
Well, I was giving you plenty of room.
No. And so I have a lot of hope. People are waking up to this. More and more people waking up to this. Good example. I'll end with this. Just yesterday, current president's press secretary, you know what she said?
I'm a shudder to think.
With the straightest of faces, pun intended, because in case you don't know, she's gay. She said that crime has been down 50%.
Do you know why crime is down 50%?
Anyways, he said they are more steadfast against crime than any other administration. Yeah, okay. Do you believe that?
Do you know why there's less crime now? You know,
tell me why.
You can go to the cops and you can say, "Hey, listen, I just got mugged." Well, oh, okay. I'm sorry, we can't do anything about it. People aren't reporting the crime because you can't do anything about it. There's no point in reporting it because no one will change it. You're screwed.
Macy's is leaving San Francisco Union Square. Why?
Because the crime would be the main thing, I would
think. The employees say whatever they're telling you in the media is wrong. It's crime. A lot of like CVS's and a lot of those type of stores, they're leaving. Why? Crime. They're locking up their shelves.
And that's why there's so little crime. There's so little crime because it can't be reported.
Let's use San Francisco. People all know who live in that area that there's been a rampant crime of burglarizing your car.
Oh, San Francisco says don't lock your car anymore because they'll just break your window to get in.
Everybody knows to roll down your windows, and some of them are even opening up their trunks to show there's nothing in the car.
Yeah.
Don't steal it. Can you imagine living like that?
Yeah.
Oh, but crime is down. In fact, you can do open air drugs. There was a time where you just couldn't do drugs out in the open. I remember the day when I saw people being arrested at a concert for smoking marijuana. Shrine Auditorium, Tower Power concert. This is back in 1975. People got arrested for smoking pot.
See why I live in the past?
You could smoke pot. You could shoot up all in public. Crime's going down. That's not being enforced. The laws are not being enforced. You can crap on a city sidewalk and nobody cares. Why? Because when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
And of course, at one time, vagrancy, being homeless on the street, was considered a crime. Not anymore. A man's got to live somewhere. A woman's got to live somewhere. So we're just eliminating all the crime, and therefore, guess what? No crime.
This is why I live in the past. Everybody makes fun of me because I live in the past. Well, at least we took care of crime in our day. I guarantee you, none of this crap that's going on now would be tolerated in my ancient old world.
And that's all we got to say.
All right.